Imagine you run an online store and want to know who your best customers are. With SQL, we can calculate the top 10 customers by total spend in just a few lines of code. In this video, I'll show you exactly how to write that query using a sample database. We're going to use the Chinook database, which is a popular database that works on many vendors. It has data about customers, invoices, and invoice line items. The goal is to find the top 10 customers ranked by how much they've spent. If you want to follow along, I've put together a free data analysis project guide for this project. It includes the ERD for the database, table descriptions, and many SQL queries you'll use to answer analysis questions like this. You can download it with the link in the description. The Chinook database has 3 key tables that we'll use. The customer table shows who made the purchase. The invoice table has details of the purchase. Finally, the invoice line table has the items within each invoice. This means a customer can have many invoices and each invoice can have many line items. Now, there are instructions on the GitHub repo on how to import the data into your own database, and the process is a little different depending on your vendor and SQL editor. For this video, I've already imported the data into my local Postgres database. Let's start by querying each of these tables individually to see what's inside them and how many rows they have. We'll start with the customer table. We can write a simple select count to see how many rows there are in the table. We run this and see there are 59 rows in the table. Let's do the same thing for each of the other tables. We run all of these statements one after the other. In DataGrip, we can click on each of the tabs here to see the result of each query, showing us the total number of rows in each table. Let's start by joining customers with their invoices. We select from the customer table, then join to the invoice table on the customer ID, which is the related column in both tables. We'll also use the table aliases of C and I. Then we select the customer ID, customer first and last name, and the invoice total. This query should show us the customers and their invoice total. We aren't doing any grouping or filtering, so it should show all customers who have an invoice, and maybe multiple rows for each customer. We run this and see our results. This gives us a row for every invoice, showing the customer and the total of that invoice. Next, we want the total spend per customer, not per invoice. So we'll adjust this query to use the sum on the invoice total and then group by all of the other columns. We run this and see our results. Now we can see how much each customer has spent in total. We only want the top 10 customers, so we'll sort in descending order and limit the results. We do this by adding an order by clause on the total spend column. I'm using Postgres, so I'll use the limit keyword to limit the results. But you may need to use a different approach, such as fetch first in Oracle or top 10 in SQL Server. Now we have updated our query, so let's run it. We see our results here. This query gives us the top 10 customers by spend. This has given us the data we need. Let's look at a few common mistakes we could have made during this analysis. The first can happen if your query looks like this. If you run this, you'll most likely get an error message like this. It will say something about a column that must appear in the group by clause or be used in an aggregate function. This has happened because we have used an aggregate function, which is sum, but we haven't used a group by keyword. So we add in a group by keyword and it should work. This will give an error because the non-aggregated columns aren't grouped. Another issue can happen is if you order by the total spend column but either add the ASC keyword for ascending or don't add a keyword at all. This means your results will be sorted from lowest to highest, which is not what we want. This shows the lowest spending customers, not the top 10. To fix this, make sure you use the DESC keyword with the order by, which means descending or from highest to lowest. Another issue can happen from joining our data when we don't need to. I'll run this query to show the correct data as a starting point. I'll pin the results tab here so we can compare our updated query. Let's say we join to our invoice table like this. This could make sense as we want to get the details of invoices. We run our query and see our results. It looks okay. There are 10 rows and the data is in descending order. The numbers are higher than we saw earlier, but if we didn't see the earlier query, this might make sense to us. However, if you look closely, the customers are in a different order. This may or may not be an issue. The main problem is that the order totals are much higher than they should be. We can dig into the data for some of the customers and see what we can find. Our top customer, which is customer ID 6, has a total spend here of 502. Let's see their invoice records. We run this query on invoices for just a single customer and see the results here. There are 7 rows and we can scroll to the right to see the total column. We can look at these numbers and do some quick addition, and it seems like the sum of these totals should be about 40 to 50 and not 502 that we saw earlier. The reason this has happened is because we have joined to the invoice line table. The join columns are correct, but by doing this we have included even more rows in our result set to process. We include multiple lines for each invoice, but the total is the same for each invoice row. So we're adding a new total for each invoice line, increasing the value even though it was already included. This results in a much higher total for a customer. So the issue here is to double check your joins, make sure you're joining on the right columns and selecting from the right tables. The solution to this query would be to remove the join to the invoice line table altogether, as we don't need it for this query. If you want to practice this project yourself, download the free Data Analysis Project Guide. It has the ERD and the exact SQL queries you can use for this kind of analysis. The link is in the description. So that's how you find the top 10 customers by spend in SQL. First, we join customers and invoices. Then we sum their total spend. Then we order by total and limit to 10. Now that you know how to find top customers, the next step is to learn how to use SQL window functions to rank them in more flexible ways. Check out this video next. Thanks for watching.